The following episode may contain inappropriate material. Listener discretion is advised.
I've got the blues. I've got the Mattalk episode is over and now I have nothing to watch blues. I want to watch Mattalk right now, but I'm here recording this episode with you. The blues. I've got the blues.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to interrupt my partner here for a minute because I believe this might be the worst blues song ever in the history of the genre.
Whatever, man. I spent a lot of time writing it. It was like 30 to 40 seconds. And that, John, was a lot. And I can't believe you'd even insult me like that.
I'm just saying, listen, we love to sing here on Mattalk. We do. But that was pretty bad.
Let us know. BENMATTALK@gmail.com.
We are not even 1 minute into the episode, and you are already plugging the email.
That's right, man. And also comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
All right, well, it's Jason and John back at you with another episode of Mattalk. We are doing this episode on the regular schedule because last time, as we mentioned, on the 13th, you had COVID and you were sick as a dog. So last week we dropped the cult. This week, we're going to talk about the blues singer, which is the episode. But before we get into that, Jason, you want to talk about the big news that's happening this week?
I do, John. I really do. So we recorded Mattalk the day before Richard Belzer passed away. And then that happened to come out the day after he passed away. And we didn't mean for it to be a tribute. And it kind of just worked out that way. But I just wanted to take a second and, rest in peace to Richard Belzer. I started Law and Order from the beginning again with my daughter. I wanted to watch Homicide: Life on the Streets, but it's not streaming anywhere. So we're watching SVU from the beginning. And that's not the news you were talking about, John, but I just figured that's the perfect time to mention that. I wanted to just say, rest in peace, because I didn't get to say that last time because we didn't know it was going to be a tribute.
It was a big surprise to us all. But let's talk about the other news that you mentioned.
Yes, we are interviewing the day after this comes out, so Tuesday, we're interviewing Daniel Roebuck from Matlock and Lost, two of my favorite shows of all time. And I'm so excited to talk to him because I didn't know that was him on Lost. And he plays a character that I really found fun and funny in the first season. So he's been in so much stuff. I had no idea. I'm going to watch The Munsters this weekend so we can talk to him about that a little bit. But I am stoked, man. And he's in the episode we'll be doing after we interview him. He's a guest star in.
Yeah, he showed up several times prior to him being casted as Cliff.
March is the month of road.
March is, forget about March Madness. March is the month of Roebuck. That's right. We've already seen Daniel in an episode. I believe it was in season 1 or 2. It was called The Doctors, where he played Dr. Shaw, if I remember correctly. So, and as I said, he's going to appear a couple more times before landing his recurring role as Cliff. But Jason, with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's jump headlong right into this episode, shall we?
First, John, I want to ask you into blues music?
I appreciate it, but I'm not a big blues fan. I mean, if you ask me to name a blues singer, I mean B.B. King. And that's it. That's where my knowledge starts and ends. Yourself?
Yeah, we all know I'm a hip hop guy, but I do like blues and jazz. I couldn't tell you much, but I'll turn a playlist on, especially at nighttime, and just let it play in the background.
I think I lean more towards jazz because I'll play some jazz, through Spotify or whatnot, like when I'm doing stuff around the house because it's kind of calming, and whatnot. So I would prefer jazz over than not like that old school jazz, not the new stuff, like the old, when we're talking about that, we're talking Harlem Renaissance style of jazz. That's what I dig.
Yeah, old man, not the new stuff. John don't
Not the
mess with
new
the new
stuff.
stuff. It's too
No.
darn loud.
You hold on. I got to yell at some kids that are on my lawn. Hold on for a minute. Anyways, all right. With that, then, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into our opening statements. Well, we have several guest stars who have gigantic resumes. So I'm going to tell everybody that's listening, I went with the top 5 individual characters that we're going to see on this episode. And with all due respect to the other individuals that appeared, these were the big 5, if you will. And let's start off with Joe Seneca, who plays Eddie Hayes. You may know him as Reverend Isaiah Street in A Time to Kill.
That is one of my favorite movies, like, ever.
Really?
Yes, and he was one of his last roles. I remember him very vividly. He was trying to get Carl Lee to switch lawyers to a black lawyer.
He was Toomer in the biopic Malcolm X, but he also
somebody was named Toomer in a movie.
Yeah, Toomer.
Oh, okay.
So not like it. It's not like it's a tumor. No, it's not like that. Professor Bingham in Sequest 2032. Willabin in Mississippi Masala. And President McPherson in School Days and a few other various different movie and TV projects. But one added note, he is an accomplished blues singer, which I think is... Yeah, I don't think that's a big surprise. If you watch this episode, the guy seems to know what he's doing, and there's not a lot of those, cutaway shots where you're seeing only like hands playing the guitar, but yet you don't see the whole person. You know what I mean? So, not surprised by that fact that he was pretty accomplished in the genre. All right, our next guest star is Bonnie Bartlett, who plays Lorraine Maslin. You may also know her as Ellen Craig on St. Elsewhere. Lynn Bernstein on V. Mary Ann Benedict in the movie Twins. Helen on Better Call Saul. Dean Lila Bolander on Boy Meets World, and a host of other credits as well. Did you remember her from Boy Meets World? Because I know that's kind of in your wheelhouse.
Oh my God, that is who that is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's Mr. Feeney's wife, I believe, in real life.
Oh, yeah. In real life?
Yeah, she's married to him.
Okay, cool. I remember her probably more for the appearance on V.
Okay, yeah, she did St. Elsewhere. They did together also, and then they did Boy Meets World together. They've worked together quite a bit, her and her husband.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was on St. Elsewhere. I forgot about that as well. Okay, all right. Our next guest star, Alyssa Davalos, who will be playing the role of Suzanne Cullen. You may know her from her role as Nikki Carpenter on the original MacGyver. Doreen Gillespie on Life Goes On. Leslie O'Connor on Scarecrow and Mrs. King. We're going to see Alyssa a little bit later on because she has 2 other upcoming Mattalk appearances, I think in the last couple of seasons, season 8 and 9. So there you go for Alyssa's rundown of her resume.
I do want to say for Bonnie, she was in the trifecta of Perry Mason, Matlock, and Murder, She Wrote.
Really? I overlooked that. I didn't know if I must have overlooked that. Otherwise, I would have done the hoopla of having a hat trick.
And St. Elsewhere, which every guest star has been on that show.
We are on a streak of St. Elsewhere, are we not?
Yeah, everybody is on
It seems like we've had a lot of people on that. Yeah. All right, let's move on to John Allen Nelson, who will play Terry Maslin. You may know him as Walt Cummings on 24, a show I know you just recently rewatched, correct?
No, I haven't rewatched. I need to rewatch it, but I have not rewatched it.
Oh, okay. I thought
there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough time in the day to rewatch anything. I keep making new stuff.
True, very true.
And I like to watch it all.
He will also be playing the role of John D. Court on Baywatch, Silas on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, President DeVore on Crisis, which I forgot about that show, and I don't think it lasted very long. But I was like, oh, yeah. The whole Secret Service, assassin, drama that NBC ran on Sundays. I totally forgot about it. I also forgot about this show. He was Matt Cutter on Sheena. Do you remember that show? It was like a syndicated Hercules-like show.
I don't. I'm looking it up now.
It starred Gina Lee Dolan, I believe, from Baywatch. Or Gina Lee Nolan, excuse me, not Dolan, Nolan.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see that.
You don't remember that show? I vaguely remember it.
I do not.
Okay. Anyways, and he's done a host of other things. So John Allen Nelson certainly got the resume and the accomplishments and accolades for his portrayals of various different characters. And lastly, we will talk about Mark Rolston, who will play the role of Morrissey, the character, not the singer. You may also know him as Boggs Diamond in The Shawshank Redemption, Delahunt in The Departed, Private Drake in Aliens, Agent Russ in Rush Hour, Lieutenant Thorne in Bosch, and he's done a ton of voiceover work for video games. But I want to stop and talk real quick about Bosch. Have you watched that show?
I have not, but I do want to point out real quick, John. I can't remember if you said it. I don't think you did. John Allen was also in the trifecta.
John Allen Nelson, that's two. Oh my gosh. I'm slipping in my old age.
But no, I've seen the first few episodes of Bosch, and the only reason I haven't continued is just because I keep getting sidetracked. It's a really good show.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, with that, the other thing that we need to mention real quick, The Blues Singer, obviously, as we mentioned it early on, is the name of the episode, and its original air date is May 9th, 1989. And so with that, Jason, I have a question for you. Are you ready to give an opinion? Your opinion, and only your opinion, so help you?
I do, and this is the part of the podcast where John will give us the breakdown of the episode. He will start with
stop, cut, stop. What are you doing? That's not even part of it. You know what we have to let people know. We have to let them know. You're so pleased with yourself on that one, aren't you?
Did you like that? He's going to start at the beginning and end at the end.
Yeah, that really succinct. Way to go.
Let's testify.
Let's testify. The plot of this episode is that an old blues singer who is down on his luck is accused of killing a man who was trying to help him. And so we will go to the opening scene where we see pictures of old blues singers and some down on their luck folks, which then transitions to Eddie traveling in the back of a pickup truck going to a town called Hastings. Now, Jason, I got to start off. I don't think it's politically correct to do this anymore, but as a kid, did you ever ride in the back of a pickup truck?
Did I as a kid? I might have as a kid. I definitely did as a teenager. I don't remember. I don't think I have as an adult.
Okay, wait. So that counts as a teenager. You did it. Okay. Well, I've done it a couple of times as a child. Now, granted, it wasn't like on the, major freeway. It was like, hey, jump in the truck. I'll take you over to your buddy's house. My dad would say, jump in the back of the truck and go over. But no, like expressway, like, again, going like 25 miles an hour. Still dangerous. But I just kind of, it gave me a little bit of the warm fuzzies to see that, because I don't think it's something that happens nowadays.
I have also laid on top of a car before while I was driving.
What?
I don't recommend that, anybody.
Wait.
I was a dumb teenager.
What were you doing?
Laying on top of the
No, I know, but I mean, were you like, hey, watch this. This is a cool trick I picked up from watching movies, or
It was car surfing, but I was too chicken, so I just laid on it.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. That
John's like, you have been car surfing before. I was teen wolfing it.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, cool. So Eddie is left off in downtown Hastings, and soon he's playing on a street corner, and people are enjoying his music, and we are introduced to an individual named Terry, who's quite a dapper fellow, is he not?
Yeah.
Well, he is impressed by Eddie's playing. In fact, he says, "Aren't you Cougar Haynes?" And indeed, Eddie is he's taken back by somebody remembering him from oh so long ago. He was apparently a big deal in the 50s and 60s, but disappeared in the 70s. And so Terry offers Eddie a free meal and then takes him to his house, which his house is very swank because apparently Terry was part of a huge band. I don't remember the name of the band, but it was like a one-word band, Dreams, I think it was. I'm not, don't quote me on that, but I think that was the name of the band. And yeah, he's made a pretty penny in the songwriting industry, has he not?
He has.
But even though he's made all that money, he's still a mama's boy to an extent, is he not?
Oh my God.
His mom comes out and gives him an earful. I went and bought groceries, and then I did this, and then I did that, and all the band's waiting on you. And who's this? Oh my goodness, she was extra, was she not?
Oh my God. Who is this in my house?
Yeah, like,
Mildly racist, I think.
Whoa. You thought she was mildly racist? I didn't pick up that vibe.
She didn't want that guy in her house.
Well, that's because he's a stranger, not because of his race.
Oh, okay.
I mean, jeez.
I had just watched You People yesterday, so maybe that was just.
You already had it in your mind that racism is everywhere. Okay, I really don't think she didn't want him in the house because of his race, but I think it was because he was a stranger. Which this is the question I wrote down. I mean, he seems, and he being Eddie, he seems awful trusting of Terry. Like, I was just thinking, if you were in his shoes, would you accept just a blind invitation to a house where you don't know what this dude's got in the house? Maybe he's got drugs. Maybe he's got, like, people chained up in the basement. Maybe he's, I don't know. Like,
this was the 80s. We didn't think about that back in the 80s.
I guess we didn't. I don't know. But Stranger Danger, that was the height of it in the 80s.
Not for adults.
I guess not. I guess you're right. But I don't know.
It doesn't help move the plot if he stays on the corner.
True, very true. Which I have some questions about that. We'll get to in a little bit here.
Hey, do you want to come home with me? Nope. End credits.
Oh no! Yeah, or he runs away. Stranger danger, and he just runs away. Leaves his guitar and his $37 he's made in his case.
What do you think of this episode of Mattalk? Well, it was 37 seconds long, John. It was really hard to gather. I thought it was gutsy. It was quick. I've sneezed longer than this show.
All right. Anyways, let's try this and get focused here. Terry leaves Eddie in the kitchen, says, "Hey man, help yourself. You want something to eat?" And he goes in the back to talk to the band. I also wanted to know, why was the band just randomly hanging out at his house? Is it like the cool place where is it Central Perk, if you will, where everybody just hangs out?
I mean, I guess they wanted a comeback, right?
Well, don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years, rocking his peers, putting suckers in fear. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the lyrical stylings of LL Cool J, who would have made an awesome cameo appearance in this episode, I think.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Because we still need to get Eddie that great hit single so he can live comfortably. Who else in '89 would have been hotter than LL Cool J?
Nobody
is correct. Anyways, the band gets very, very, very upset. There's a heated conversation between Terry and the band. And so they barge into the kitchen and they're arguing and they leave. And then Eddie and Terry have a drink. And Terry's like, "I want to write you a song, man, to get you back on your feet." And all of a sudden, as they're piecing together this tune, a random girl shows up. And Eddie's like, "Hey, nicely done, my man." And that will be a central plot that we'll come back to, a sticking point in the tale. But we fast forward to a scene where Eddie is leaving, and he's like, "Look, I don't want to put an undue stress on you because your mom's coming back. You're having dinner plans. You know what? It's cool. Thank you for the hospitality. I'll come back in the morning, but I'm going to hang out in the park," which again doesn't seem like the safest place to be in Hastings or Atlanta, or I don't know where we are. So allow me a quick rant real quick. One of the negatives I had about this episode is all of the settings. Like, were we in Hastings? Where is Hastings? I presume it's a small little town in Georgia. We're back in Atlanta at the courthouse. We're all over the place with the setting.
Driving distance is 22 miles, John.
Wait, you looked up, is Hastings a real city?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's 22 miles from Atlanta to Hastings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying.
That's all doable, John. So your negative is no longer a negative.
You know what? There you go. Thank you very much for turning that frown upside down, as the old saying goes.
Yeah, I guess when you were putting on your face this morning for that hour and a half you made me wait, you didn't have time to look that up.
Again, some of us slept till 10:30. Some of us weren't up at the butt crack of dawn.
I should have called
Anyways,
you before. Hey, John, let's do Mattalk.
I will tell you right now. Then I would have had to call Ben Matlock because I would have murdered you if you called me at 4 a.m. And you know what? I don't know if I have $100,000 either to pay Matlock, so I'd be screwed. You know what? I think Columbo's a lower rate. I'd have to call Columbo maybe. You know what? Who do you think, ladies and gentlemen, has the salary? Let's hear it from you. All right, let's hear it from you. Piece together a couple of our sleuths from the TV genre and give us what you think their prices are. And Jason, how can they do that?
benmattalk@gmail.com. Email me. Say hi.
There you go. Or you can find us on social media. Twitter is at @MattTalk_podcast. And Facebook is Mattalk Podcast. Drop us a line. Tell us who you think. Is it Jessica Fletcher, then Matlock, then Columbo, then Kojak? Where do they rank, ladies and gentlemen? You let us know. All right, so Terry goes into his house, and he flips on the Walkman, and he turns off the lights, which I don't understand why you would turn off the lights, but whatever. And he is killed by several blows to the head. And so then we cut to the scene where the cops are looking for Eddie. They find him and arrest him, and he has stolen property like jewelry and whatnot on him that belongs to Terry. And then we go to a scene that may have been reminiscent of what Jason would have pulled at 4 o'clock in the morning, and me, much like Ben, groveling for the phone. There's a phone call from Sheriff Dan Gurney, who's a friend of Ben, apparently, and asks him to take the case because he knows, deep down inside, the sheriff knows that clearly Eddie's not a killer.
Yeah, back in the days before you could silence your ringer, folks.
Mm-hmm. You know what, though? I had a rotary phone that had a ringer switch on it, and you could shut it off.
Did you? Most people just put it off the hook.
Yeah, I had that, and then I had a push-button phone that had the ringer on the side that you could shut off.
Oh, maybe I did too. I don't
know. So Ben seems to know Eddie, and he's a fan. And Eddie explains, hey, man, it's the same story that many people have had. You know, I had money. I drank too much. I partied too much. I spent some time in jail because I punched out a promoter. And my career went down the toilet, man. And so Eddie explains the events of the night. He doesn't know who this mystery woman is, as that'll become a common theme. And we cut to our first courtroom scene where Eddie is being presented in front of the judge for bail. And Eddie, it's agreed upon, will live with Ben until the trial is over. All right. I got to ask you, Jason, what do you think it's like living with Ben Matlock? Be honest now.
Lots of hot dogs. He probably has a set bedtime. A lot of music playing going on. I don't know. I don't think it'd be that bad. I think it'd be like living with your grandfather back then.
Okay. All right. What time do you think Ben goes to bed, by the way?
I don't know. 8?
Really? I give him 9:30. I would say that. Yeah.
Unless Ace is around.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Ace probably keeps him up late.
Yeah, Ace is one of those dudes that stays up late. He's a night owl. Yes. Ace is probably easily going to bed 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, not getting up till like 10 or 11. Absolutely. I guarantee you that's his schedule. All right, so Michelle joins Ben as they check out Terry's home. And there's kind of a little bit of a clash between Lorraine, the mother of Terry, and Ben, because she's like, how dare you, represent my son's killer? And Ben's like, well, I don't think he did it, ma'am, and yada, yada, yada. And Ben is asking about this mystery woman, which no one seems to know anything about. And so we come back to Matlock's house where Eddie is playing guitar in Ben's kitchen, and Ben sneaks past him to get his guitar. And my question was, you didn't see him, Eddie? It didn't look like he was like he walked right behind you. Like your peripheral vision would have picked up that he was there, but no, he doesn't. And then all of a sudden he goes, oh, you scared me. Oh. And then we have our very first jam session. Jason, what was your thoughts on this jam session and all of the jam sessions we're going to have in this episode.
Besides like the last one, that's all this exact same song.
Yes, absolutely. Look, I'm going to jump ahead to my critique of this episode. There were too many jam sessions.
Oh no, I like the music.
I disagree, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Ben interviews Paul from Terry's band at the studio, and again trying to find out who this mystery woman is. Michelle will interview Morrissey, who's another band member, not the Morrissey, but a guy named Morrissey, and they talk about the breakup of the band, and they talk about like the tour and who needed money, and they I think even mentioned the mystery woman as well. So Eddie and Ben arrive at Terry's home, and Lorraine is ticked off. How dare you bring the murderer here?
We just need a few minutes, ma'am. A few minutes to go through your underwear drawer, and then we are going to be out.
Well, you know what? I laughed because it was kind of reminiscent of like one of those like teen comedies in the 80s where it seems like, yeah, they were trying to smuggle the panties out in Ben's coat. But Ben and Eddie search the bedroom. They find a sweater of this mystery woman. They smuggle it out, and on the way out, they're catching flack from Lorraine. And that leads us to another conversation Ben has in the studio as he talks with the band. And he then chats a little bit with Morrissey, who admits that he is broke. Meanwhile, the other two members are eavesdropping, which I thought was hilarious. They left the mics on in the studio so they could hear in the booth. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere, Michelle confronts Suzanne Cullen at the Hastings police station. Okay, I was confused by this. Jason, you could chime in and tell me I'm wrong or give me your 2 cents worth. But I was under the assumption from the way this scene played out that Suzanne Cullen was an employee, like at the jail. Like it just seemed very, very like there was no setup to her being just arriving there. She was just there. And she seemed very one-dimensional, and I did not much like the character of Suzanne Cullen.
She worked at the jail? I thought she worked at the studio.
She worked at the studio, but the way that they presented her, it seemed like right in the first few seconds of her appearing, Jason, I'm like, so is she a secretary or she has some type of job at this jail? Yeah, I mean, it was very confusing. Anyways, they talk about the sweater in Terry's room. Then we go to yet another jam session, which obviously these jam sessions were the favorite part for Andy Griffith. Obviously, I don't think it's a stretch to say that.
No, I love the jam sessions.
I know you did. We'll talk in a little bit about that. Michelle and Ben go back to the studio looking for Suzanne. Suzanne was there at the night of the murder, according to her friend and co-worker. And then the co-worker also says that Cullen took off to Europe. So then we go to jam session number 3.
Yeah.
Oh
He's holding his face in his hand, folks. I can already tell you how this episode's going to go with John, but don't you worry. I'm going to be the complete opposite.
And then while playing, all of a sudden, Ben gets this aha moment. And so that leads us to the courtroom.
I've heard this before.
Or, aha, take on me, take on me, take me on. You're not singing along.
Sorry, Brian did it better.
Oh, that's true. Inside joke to everyone listening. We have a good friend of the other podcast, 3 Geeks Podcast and PVDcast, Brian Lau, and he liked to leave us a video on the 3 Geeks page, and it was very much reminiscent of that aha song. So, anyways, so Paul is on the stand, and Ben interviews him regarding his relationship with Terry, about the breakup of the band, and knowing Suzanne Cullen. And Paul was dating her first, but she left him for Terry, much like many women left their dudes for Terry. This is just like Paul's marriage before Cullen. The theory is Paul leaves with the band. And then he comes back later and he beats Terry to death. He frames Eddie for that. Here's the proof in the pudding. Ben asked Paul to play a song from his new album. And of course, the courtroom has their own synthesizer right there waiting for him.
No, Ben brought it. I'm sure Ben brought it. Like, I don't think it was conveniently there.
Of course, like Ben would have a Casio keyboard.
Just because that guitar wasn't conveniently there. Ben brought his own props. Ben's got a prop guy.
In my head, I could see Ben sending Michelle out, buy me a keyboard, and
that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, save me the receipt. Save me the receipt. We'll write it off on the taxes. He comes back with like a $400 Casio keyboard he's upset about because he wanted one of the dinky ones, you know? Anyways, so Paul plays this song from his new album, and as he does, out of nowhere, Eddie has a guitar in the galley, and he starts playing along too.
Not out of nowhere, Michelle handed it to him. Folks, I don't think John watched this episode very closely.
No, I watched this episode. I watched it. Why is he allowed to bring a guitar? Excuse me. Why is she allowed to bring a guitar into the courtroom? Like, that's a weapon. I've watched enough pro wrestling to know that you can hit somebody over the head with a guitar and KO them.
Again, John, the 80s.
I know. Security was much more lax in the 80s. Pre 9/11. We didn't have to worry about terrorists attacking us in 1989. Anyways. So they start playing along, and so Ben reveals that, hey, you know why this song works between you two? Because no one's ever heard that song besides you two and Terry, because you stole sheet music while you were gathering up things to frame Eddie, and so the only way that you could know this song is because you were the killer. Look, I got to be honest with you. That song sounded like garbage. It sounded like hot trash.
No, it did not.
Yes, it did. It was terrible.
Folks, you guys can send your hate emails to benmattalk@gmail.com.
Oh, you'll forward them to me?
No, I'm going to read them on the air. I'm going to surprise you.
Okay, good. I welcome that. Go ahead. I'm not threatened by it. I'm going to stand by my comment. That song that Terry had wrote for Eddie, it was rubbish.
No, rubbish. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest song ever made, but it definitely was not a bad song.
Oh, next year say, well, it's not finished yet, John, because Terry was killed before he could finish.
There you go. That's another argument. You just made it for me, John.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Paul stole the sheet music, and the jury acquits Eddie, and then we have jam session number 4 featuring the Bluesmen under their actual real names. Kayfabe is broken. Anyways, and that's the end of the episode. All right, Jason, you got any notes before we jump into our wrap up here?
No, but this is the part of the podcast where John and I will rate this.
I didn't do the closing. You didn't wait for the bang of the gavel.
Oh, sorry.
Anyways, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our closing statements.
This is the part of the podcast where John and I will rate the show on a gavel system. 1 gavel means it absolutely sucked. 5 gavels means it was absolutely amazing. And I'm going to start us off because I like this episode a lot. Yes, I like the music. It was fantastic, John. And I was in. I really enjoyed every moment of this episode. I like that there was actually investigations going on and we didn't see, 12 different angles for the same 5 minutes of footage of this episode. So, that episode a few weeks ago is now the benchmark for the worst episode of Mattalk. And this episode was really, really good, and I really dug it.
How many gavels?
I give it 4.5 gavels.
Okay.
John gives it 2. Watch.
Okay. First of all, I thought when we restarted and you were waiting for the bang of the gavel, I thought you were going to just not say it, and then there was going to be this awkward moment where we didn't know who was doing the shtick. But anyways, Jason, I gave it 3 gavels. I actually thought it was the middle of the road. All right. I thought the acting was good, minus the performance for Cullen. I thought that was a very, very awkward performance. I thought it was lighter in tone. I thought that the stolen sheet music was the nice little crumb that helped you solve the mystery. I like that. I didn't really think that the mystery girlfriend storyline was necessary. It felt a little bit disjointed. Again, I put down here, even though we've already clarified it, I felt that the setting was a little bit confusing. And look, I felt like this. Like, we could have just had 2 of those jam sessions and then spent the other few minutes diving into the character of Eddie a little bit more. Because I felt like there was an opportunity to talk a little bit more about, well, what happened to him, and whatnot. I just felt like it was a little bit sparse, his storyline. And again, I'm not against the music was fine. I'm just saying that they didn't need the silly one in the kitchen. They could have cut that one out. I understand you wanted to end the show with a performance. Great. Okay, cool. The jam session where they have the aha moment. Fine, leave that one. But I just felt there was one too many. Get rid of 1 or 2 of those and then spend a little more time on Eddie. You're shaking your head no.
Keep them all. It was nice to hear something other than like bluegrass.
Oh, well, we shall agree to disagree. But yeah, 3 gavels. See, it wasn't 2 gavels.
I totally thought you were going down to 2 gavels, man. You had the disappointing look of a father who found out their son was beating people up at school.
I thought you were going to say smoking weed for a moment. I really did. I'm like, is this going to be like a don't do drugs public service announcement?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm picking out my wardrobe. It's called multitasking, folks.
Anyways, all right, well, let's multitask this. All right, let's talk about our other podcasting projects. You have a new one that you want to talk about. In fact, because of that, you're part of this week's PVD cast. But I digress. Tell us all about your new project, please.
Yeah, knowing John for all these years, he finally invited me on the PVD cast, and I was honored. John made me stick to a very specific topic. I tried to derail it when I could, but I didn't get very far. So you guys can check that PVD cast episode out. The Scary Snobs, we are now on Thursdays at 10 p.m. I said the wrong time on John's show, but it's Thursdays at 10 p.m. Come check us out, listen to it. We talk horror movies, or you can check out the 3 Geeks podcast live every Sunday at 10 a.m.
All right, let's talk about the PVD cast, as you mentioned. You're on talking about horror movies and all that stuff. PVDcast.com is the best place to find it, or through all those major podcasting outlets like Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. Don't forget about patreon.com/Larry Hankin. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry's coming up in an upcoming episode. I think it is in season 3. And so he definitely has a tie to this wonderful podcast. And he has a fantastic project, the Larry Hankin Stories, that we are helping him out with. Go to patreon.com, Larry Hankin. There's prices and tiers for whatever fits your budget. And with that, you get some cool perks. I mean, right now, hold on.
Larry is in season 3. We've only got 1 episode left of season 3.
I'm sorry, season 4. I misspoke. I'm so sorry. Season 4.
I was like, wow, we got Larry coming up and
No. My bad on that. I forgot what season we were on there. My bad. Anyways, so yeah, definitely check it out. Donate if you'd like to donate. You get some really cool content, some behind the scenes stuff, some great tales, some short videos from Larry and his personal collection. Even heck, you can even get a sample of his book that he's currently working on. And so check it out once again, patreon.com/Larry Hankin. And Jason, I think with that's everything, right?
Yeah. And folks, this is the part of the podcast where we shut it down.
Yeah, it is. Don't forget, in a couple weeks, you're going to hear that conversation that we're going to have with Daniel Roebuck. We're really looking forward to it. And that's it. So let's get on out of here, shall we, Jason?
We shall.
And as they say in court, nothing further. The following is a joint production of the 3 Geeks podcast and John Orlando Enterprises, LLC. Copyright 2023.